Hello and welcome to the Low Tox Life podcast.
You know, there's a lot of people out there thinking that they can do harm in the world and there won't be an effect, like we're getting away with it. But I can assure you, after staring at this mind for many thousands of hours, there's no getting away with anything. Your mind knows what's good, your mind knows what's wrong, your mind knows who you are, your mind knows what you're doing, and it's trying to tell you.
Hey, I'm Alex Stewart, your host. So great to have you here. Long-time listeners and new listeners, please hit that follow or subscribe button on your player because every little share, review, follow, subscribe, it really makes a big difference. You actually can't know how big a difference it makes, but it does. And I want to say thank you for taking the time to do that extra little step. Now today, spiritual bypassing, something I absolutely loathe in a world where we have to admit there are a lot of things that are stacked against people feeling healthy, both physically and mentally. I'm really excited to have Joe DeNicholas joining me. He's a licensed therapist, having done a number of forms of study, of course, psychology. The whole thing started for him having a panic attack. That panic attack led him to realize just how suffocated he felt in his work life and how that was bleeding out into every part of his life. I'm sure there are people listening right now who are thinking, yeah, I've been there, or maybe you're there right now. Today's show really speaks to the work Joe does with his patients to work on actionable strategies to move from getting through life to cultivating a life where joy, peace, happiness, and fulfillment are possible, even in tricky times, both as a collective of humanity and individually. And we make sure we hit those points as well so that it doesn't feel like we're avoiding bigger things that need to be addressed, because that's really important, right? It's like all of us talking about fancy whole food eating or organics or regenerative farming without talking about the things that make these things so tricky for so many people. And we have to talk about mental health in the context of the bigger picture of where we are. I truly hope you make the time or you share it with someone who you feel like might really need something like this or benefit from going for a walk in nature and listening to two compassionate people hash it out. I'm going to jump to our partners who make this show possible every week. As an independent, I value them so much and the offers they give you. Enjoy the show thereafter. I can't wait to listen to some of the comments that come through and chat with you about it. Waters Co have been helping Aussies take all the bad stuff out of our tap water and restore all of the wonderful trace minerals back into our water, from their smallest 7-stage filter right through to their Mac Daddy benchtops at 15 stages of filtration. They have an end-of-year financial year sale until June 30th, and that will lock in 15% off for the life of your subscription for any new water filter you buy. How good is that? So choose a new water filter. Make sure your subscription is ticked out of the 2 options you have on checkout. No code, nothing complicated. You get your reminder, depending on which unit you've purchased, when it's time to get your filters replaced, and you will get that shipped to you at 15% off. Make sure that if you're in the market for a water filter right now, that you do that before June 30th, because that is a very sweet deal. Head to waterscoaustralia.com.au. AusClimate have been supporting your journey to the healthiest home possible for years. My favourite 2 types of appliances they have are the Winix Air Purifier range and the Dehumidifier range, because of course moisture can happen to any home at any time. So we always want to make sure we're using climate gauges to assess whether we have too much humidity in our homes. And when it does go over that 60% mark and is staying over 60% persistently, either because it's raining or it's a humid season, all you need to do is know how to use dehumidifiers. This is something I have spent a lot of time educating on, and if you head to the @LowToxLife Instagram, you'll see there's a whole chunk of tiles on the feed with a white background. I did a 10-part series to step you through all the reasons that you need a dehumidifier and how to actually use it, what size you might need, what kind of situation you might need based on different types of floor plans. So I'm starting there because here in Australia, it is a more humid time of the year. So thrilled to have Oz Climate supporting our low tox community, the Australians only, for the whole year of 2026. Use the Low Tox Life code at checkout, 10% off your order, even often if things are on sale. Enjoy. Joe, I'm so happy to have you join us today. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
This topic is very close to my heart. And while I started Low Tox Life, where we were very much looking at the granular, the day-to-day things, the physical things that we can swap, behind all that education were these humans trying to do life with different budgets, different priorities, different locations, and kind of exploded me into involuntary psychological analysis of the change-making process and how it affected lots of different types of people. I will forever be grateful for that exposure, what different people are going through, different beliefs. I mean, you name it, right? You would see the whole spectrum of humanity in the work that you do. But what I found interesting when I came across your work was twists, turns, roller coasters. We all experience them, and yours happened to really hit you hard and almost catapult you into a totally different direction. Can you let's start there?
Yeah. So I was kind of given the guidance in high school and college, do what you like. Well, I like science and I was okay at it. So they, well, go be an engineer. So I went
Simple.
and became, so I went and became an engineer. And then I found pretty quickly that the work didn't quite suit me. It wasn't that I wasn't good at it. I was good at it. But I was carrying a pretty serious level of stress that was increasingly unbearable.
And what do
And
you attribute that to if you look back? Like, what was it about the work that you were good at and you enjoyed in high school, gravitating that way? What was it about the actual work that then brought the stress, do you think?
yeah, so there's kind of two answers to that. One, there were a lot of things that I didn't necessarily agree with.
Mm.
The extreme pressure. I was in semiconductors, which like chips, and there's a
Oh my
huge demand
God. Yeah, I was
for them.
reading
And
that
so,
in your book.
yeah, nothing is ever fast enough, good enough. I also didn't realize I'd be working alone most of the time.
Hmm.
And so you kind of sit down and every day you have your set of problems that you don't know how to solve, and you're it, and you will figure it out or you won't. But more so than any of that, you'll find I always tend to go internally. A lot of my identity was wrapped up in achievement. And
Mm.
so you find very quickly that your ability to achieve an outcome is very dependent on the company, the kind of support and training you get. And you find that you can't control outcomes. But that's kind of how I got through life, was controlling outcomes. And
Mm.
it's like, well, I'm smart, I'm a decent person, I should be able to control these outcomes. But then I couldn't. And so that internal stress, my career was kind of riding on every project, and my identity, my self-worth, which I think a lot of people fall into. It's a psychological problem we call contingent self-worth.
Yeah.
Your worth is contingent on your outcomes. And we're taught that in the school system. We're taught that by society, and we internalize that. And then we go on living our lives that way. And that's really, that was the primary source of stress, is I was bringing too much
Mm.
to every moment.
I hate to tangent this early. It's so unlike me. My listeners will go, yeah, right. But I get stuck on these words when I hear like something that then becomes super relevant to the now. And you're never fast enough, good enough, your output's never productive enough. Like that hyperfixation almost on output, I think, is
Hyperfixation.
what has landed us in this new AI potential hellmouth. And it's this drive, more productivity, kind of all linked back to GDP theory being embodied as some kind of god-like complex in economics, right? But here
Absolutely.
we are, and here in your story and I mean, I've been there in my own way, it affects us all to be on this treadmill that just keeps ever so gradually speeding up until breaking points for all of us in different ways in our lives. So What was your breaking point like? How did it go down?
Well, it was a multi-year break point. I started at a new company and I wanted everything to be perfect. And I did my best. And I got the chip back from the manufacturing facility and it exploded, literally like sparks and fire. And
I was
uh,
like, my heart was breaking as I was reading it. I'm
yeah,
like, no, oh my
no.
God.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was like a shockwave hit me. It's like, this can't be happening. Like, you can have a bug, but not like explosion.
Mm,
Um, but it's power electronics I was working in, and that stuff blows up all the time, and that's just part of the job. And we are pushing the limits of what is possible. And so when you push the limits, you're going to find them.
mm.
Um,
And
and
imagine
so, yeah.
penalizing a fail. Like that to me is just completely illogical given
Right.
engineering is about pushing the limits and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Back to the drawing board. What do we need to do
Hmm.
different? That's the whole process.
It
So
can
it's,
be, depends on
mm,
your manager and depends on the company.
yes.
And, does the company want to take chances? And even if you do take those chances, the pressure doesn't stop.
Mm,
They don't extend the schedule because, wow, this is, you're really pushing the envelope. Let's push the schedule out another 6 months. That's not what
yeah.
happens.
Well,
It's you
yeah,
find a
because
way to get it done.
yes, we're broken now in the sense that we sales forecast and we set ship dates and promise orders and like all this stuff is happening that
Hmm.
helps our shareholders feel like they've made a good investment. And then there are real humans, even
On
if
the
it's a
other end of that,
machine. The machines are screwing up as well. It's not just the humans and things that
that's
are
right.
out of our control.
Even
Oi.
just being asked for a schedule as an engineer, it's like, so, I have several patents, and it's like, so you want me to tell you what date 9 months from now that I'll be done solving the problems that no human being has ever solved before? Okay, August 14th sounds good to me. And then once you put the date down, like, you will be held. Like, why are you late? It's like, what do you mean, why am I late? I made the date up.
It's called
But once you,
variables. Yeah.
that's right. But
Yeah.
once you set the date, you're under extreme pressure. You have to hit that date, or there's consequences to that. And those are
Mm.
very real consequences. And so the whole thing is a little bit unrealistic, unkind, lacking in compassion, lacking in grace, understanding. And like you said, there are real human beings on the other end of this stuff, stressing ourselves out, trying to make this world work for the rest of us.
Mm.
And so it was a multi-year process. That was kind of the beginning of, like, something's not right about how I'm approaching this. Others aren't quite having as powerful a reaction. As far as I know, a lot of suffering happens. Nobody knew I was suffering. I hid it quite well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are suffering and hiding it quite well. And then I went into management and got an MBA and went into management. And that's when I was really starting to kind of just be asked to be a way that I wasn't inherently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in stressing people out, certainly not
Yeah.
over money.
No.
I believe in total honesty. If you talk to most people in corporate America, honesty tends to be, it's not priority number one. How about that?
No.
And so when you start acting in a way that runs counter to who you know yourself to be and what you value, it causes internal stress.
Mm.
And so it was kind of a multi-year process of just realizing what I'm really about and what kind of work I really need to be doing and how I want to show up in the world. And it wasn't
Yeah.
that. It just wasn't that.
Mm. Do you often think, like, I often think about people who leave certain industries who were good at it and did have a lot to contribute there, um, how we actually change industries, like bigger systems, rather than just leaving them. I'm not, it's not a judgment, of course, by the way. I have left industries myself because it didn't sit right. Like people leaving teaching and moving into homeschooling in droves because, it's just starting to feel dysfunctional and people aren't given enough resources to do it well. And so it's probably best I do it at home if I'm able. And then we never fix the systems that are broken that we're all leaving. Is that part of death and rebirth in itself, maybe? Enough
Part
people
of it,
leave a
I think.
system and then actually you have to examine because we don't have enough people.
Right. And that's, you know, one thing I realized with all the amount of free labor that I think capitalists get these days, right? People working lots of overtime. And, you know, what a shame that we almost have to let it break. Like when I say, I'm sorry, the work won't be done, we don't have enough people to get it done this week. And it's like, okay, but as long as we're making it work, they won't fix it. And
Mm.
so it's just kind of an unfortunate, I don't know if that's a human factor or what that is. Just business people are taught to optimize, and you know we're going to get as much out of this person as we can. But there's personal pride in it. I don't want my project to struggle, and I don't want to let my team down. I don't want to let my company down. And I think that that can be taken advantage of, quite honestly.
Mm.
And it's like, why, you know, I'm working every weekend. This isn't crunch time. This is just how it is.
Yeah, wow.
And I think at that point, it's time to push back and say, you know, no, I'm not working. And if you want things to work like that, then maybe we need to hire more people. And I'm sorry, that's going to affect your bottom line. But and so it's just. But I think for a lot of people, the question really comes down to, do I even feel empowered to change this? Because we see people speak up and then they pay a price for that.
Yeah, I was going to
And
say, if you
it's like,
said that in a lot of environments, surprise, surprise, there's a restructure and you're one of the people being made redundant. And I mean,
exactly.
it's just so common now, so disposable.
That's right. And there's a lot
People
of money involved.
disagreeing with us is very inconvenient. So let's find a way to
Right.
push them out.
Right. And oh, you don't want to work 60 hours a week? Well, there's a line behind you of people that will.
Yeah.
And you're competing against them. So there's a lot of people that are just, you know, I have a mortgage and I have kids and I have college educations to pay for. And so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and keep going as
Mm,
best I can.
yeah.
And they
And we
suffer
see it
with it.
everywhere. And this is why I think we're in this kind of old systems fall away, new systems born phase that's quite painful. Like, I don't know anyone who's loving the now in like a
Right.
really free and easy kind of way. Uh, but I think there's a sense that in the housing market in big cities, a landlord won't fix something because he knows or she knows they'll have like 60 people down the block waiting for the inspection for that neighborhood because that's really hard to get into. In medicine, you know, we have this normal ranges that are this wide. And so it's literally not until you're on breaking point physiologically and biologically that there's a medication or there's a treatment or there's an option. So it's this apocalyptic, undertone of our humanness that we haven't quite solved for very well yet. Maybe that's going to take your mental health and engineering mind in this direction that you've taken with the work you now do to try and help people decode a bit.
Yeah. Because I think that's the question facing a lot of people. You know, here in the United States, we don't have kids walking around with distended bellies, but we have a huge portion of the population living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm.
And that's just, you know, that can't handle their car breaking. And that's just a very stressful way to go through life.
Hmm.
And and so, you know, the question really and I think my message can be misunderstood when I talk about focusing so much on internal circumstances and internal relationships. I'm not suggesting that all situations are created equally,
Yeah.
um, that
Yeah,
all
I
jobs,
didn't
right?
pick up on a privilege
Okay,
lens,
good,
not at
good.
all. For me, it's more in my show. Whenever we are talking about doing work on ourselves, I want to make sure that we recognize in the context of 2026. Chances are you feel the need to do more work on yourself because somewhere up the line there are policies that just aren't working for peaceful, thriving, prosperity, hopeful economy
Right.
and
The question then
society.
becomes if you can't readily change your circumstances, because even being able to change your circumstances is a privileged thing to do.
Mm,
Um, so then the question becomes, well, now what?
mm,
Do I just suffer under this? Is
mm,
there anything I can do internally? Like, What can I do? I am in a difficult situation. I am in a very stressful job, or working multiple jobs. What can I do?
Mm.
And that's kind of my message to the world is it's not hopeless, and you're not helpless.
Yeah.
You can still make a go of it and be okay. And I've never suggested you shouldn't try to improve your circumstances. Whatever your goals are, try to achieve them. Sure, wonderful, but work on yourself too.
Mm.
And try to maximize how happy can I be in the
Mm.
circumstance I'm in. That's one of the things I do a little bit differently than a lot of therapists is I focus very much on like today or right now.
Yeah.
What is happiness right now? If we can't do it right now, we can't do it elsewhere. How are we going to do it when we're getting tossed around by the world?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, well, what levers do I have as a human? What can I do? And it turns out a lot.
So much. I
So
mean,
much.
Dr. Edith Eger and Viktor Frankl taught us that, right? Through their incredible work and books. There are things that people can literally never take away from you if you decide you own them. And from there, you can do whatever work that is possible in any situation, however frightening. And I get goosebumps when I think of that kind of contribution and the more modern contributions people like yourself are making, because it is so easy to take difficult times into a victim space. And that means we're not connecting with community, working on our own resilience building rather than just enduring, as the psychiatrist Suzanne Long talks about. There's just so much. So can we unpack a really practical thing, Joe, right now? Like if someone's feeling a tightness in their chest, they're just feeling like everything just feels heavy and it is just one worry after the next. And like everybody's experiencing their own hardships. What can we do in our physical, mental bodies in that now moment you talk about? Like, let's actually just bring it right back to right now.
Yeah. So the first thing is I ask people to ask themselves a question, but the question is not really one meant to be answered. It's more an experience. The question is meant to cultivate an experience of yourself and this moment, right? And I used to ask the question, am I okay? And too many people said, I don't feel okay. And I'm like, well, that's not what I asked. But I've since changed the question to, am I under threat in this moment? Like, because my nervous system is probably telling me that I am.
Mm.
But you have to look around and start to privilege the data coming in through your senses. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm home. I'm safe. I have food to eat. I have clean water to drink. Am I really under threat right now? Just sit with yourself for a second and feel what it's like to realize that you're not. You are okay. Things are all right. The next thing I have people do is a little bit of a kind of an experiential exercise. And so would you like to do it? It's about a minute.
Let's do it.
Okay. So just kind of check in with yourself and get a sense of the state of your body. Just see, like, what's your heart doing? If you can feel some tension, that's okay. Just note what is going on with you right now. Okay? Relatively calm in there.
Oh, my heart just did a little somersault.
Okay. Now watch
Could be
this.
perimenopause though. But yes,
Could be
let's keep
could always
talking.
be perimenopause. I hear that a lot in this household. Could always be perimenopause. Okay.
Sorry, I took this off. Go for it.
It's no problem. Okay, but you noticed that.
Mm.
Okay. Do you know the state of your body? Can you know that things are pretty generally okay in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I want you to think about something light that's bothering you a little bit, even if it's somebody cutting you off in traffic, until you can sense that your body has some activation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know that something changed in your body?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Now the quality of knowing itself, has that been affected? It knew before, and it knows now.
Mm.
Has that been changed? Or does it know?
Just knows.
It just knows.
Mm.
So there is a place in us that is stable even when we're bothered by
Mm.
something. And so it can be really good to just rest there in this. We all have this knowing quality. It's called awareness. We all have it. All mindfulness is, can you rest as awareness? But I think even in a lot of mindfulness training, they're not pointing out the obvious fact that we're trying to show you what about you is okay when nothing else is okay. Your thoughts are not stable. There's no ground to stand on there. Your emotions are not stable. There's no ground to stand on there. Well, where do I stand then?
Mm.
You stand in the knowing quality, which is actually, you say, well, that's a part of me. It's actually the most important part of you. It's what makes you human. You not only know you know, but you know you know. And that's what makes us so human and powerful and beautiful. And that's something worth getting to know. There is a place in us that's always stable. And I don't think most people are taught that.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because I think about your term secular spirituality, right? And how often the knowing gets attached to a framework that is a particular brand of spirituality, whether it's a religion and what you're challenging us to do is recognize that all of us, anyone, whether you do belong to a faith or you do not, has this knowing. And it is not necessary, is what you're saying is it's not necessarily part of being attached to a religious framework,
right,
or a spiritual guru's framework, or whatever, whoever you want to, or whatever you want to call it, that makes you have the knowing. That exists. And then you may find comfort in different ways that could look if that's your thing. Is that kind
absolutely.
of, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with any faith path. And I just encourage people, if you're going to do it, actually do it. Like, do it. Listen to what they say and try to do it.
Yeah. The being a good human part. Let's just.
Yeah, that part would be great. Like, actually give that a shot. If you're caring about things that they tell you you probably shouldn't be caring about, you might want to look at that. Actually look at that,
Yeah.
But outside of that, a lot of people have been hurt by their faith and they don't trust humans that much, and maybe we shouldn't. And so really, I think what's beautiful in the last 20 to 30 years is we now have an awful lot of science, especially neuroscience, understanding how the mind works. When you're sitting there thinking about yourself and you're lost in this self-absorbed story, we can actually scan your brain in an fMRI machine and let you know you're doing that. And that's actually the worst way to be in a human mind. And when you're resting as awareness, we can tell when you're doing that. And you'll actually, there's huge benefits to doing that. That's how the mind has plasticity returned to it. It's flexibility, open-mindedness. And so it's really good to get to know this awareness thing, this stable part of us. It's like, if you really just learn about your own mind and how magical it already is. Like, we can't really explain consciousness, but it's here and it's beautiful. And I think a lot of being happy is learning to return back to that 3-year-old state we were in, where we just kind of saw awe in everything and like, wow, there's millions of colors, and we weren't lost in these afflicted stories about and stress and politics and money and my job responsibilities. It's like, what if you could just walk in a field and enjoy playing again? But you won't find that in your ordinary mind. Your ordinary mind is worried, and it won't stop worrying.
Yeah,
That's
like
its job, right? Its job is to try.
Have you got kids, Joe?
3.
How old are they?
Yeah. 20, 19, 16. It's always an interesting question when you have to think about it.
Yeah. Well, you've got 3, so you're totally let off the hook, and you've been through a lot of birthdays. I got a 16-year-old, and I remember taking him for a walk when he was 3. Funny you mentioned the age 3. And he would be obsessed with plants and sticks. And he could spend hours just moseying along. I would be worried about, if he doesn't have dinner now, then I won't be able to put him down at 2, and then he won't get up at 3:30, and then we won't be able to go meet my friends in the cafe. Like, there's a million reasons why.
No idea any of that's going on.
None. And Mo Godat calls it Pookie, our inner Pookie, like the perfect little innocent, wondrous soul that we all have, and you call it the knowing, and I think this is beautiful.
Yeah. And that little person who was there then, they're here now.
Yeah.
Where are they? That's a good question. Where did they go?
Where the hell
They're
did
not
they go,
gone.
damn it? Yeah.
Where the hell did they go? They're still in there. And they still want to go stare at sticks. It's just that they've been clouded over by all this other stuff that society gave us. And you're right, with respect to our commonality, we each have so much more in common
so
than
much
our
more.
surface level. So much more, right? There's so much depth there. Oh, wow, how beautiful.
I took a picture of that when I took my dog for a wee just before we jumped on this call. And I was like, oh my God, that is extraordinary. This plant is amazing. And I looked at it. So yes, we do have it in us. And sometimes I think it's nice to lean into and be more intentional about wonder and knowing.
Can I stop you there for a second? Because I actually don't think we should stop and, you know this phrase, stop and smell the roses, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think that's a message for people who are lost in their self-absorbed rumination. Our default should be smelling the roses.
Yeah.
And we stop and think about our day when we need to, when it's useful to. You can find that most thinking, you don't actually need to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to think when you're driving. You don't need to think when you're on a walk with your kid. You don't. Your brain will work just fine. It will take care of everything. Most of it's on autopilot when you're driving anyway, right? It's been reduced to reflex. It's automatic. I'm really advocating for look at how you're going through life. Always be smelling the roses. Always be, no matter what's going on in your day. With the folks who come into my office and they're really depressed, the first thing I do, I drag them outside. Can you feel the sun on your face? Can you feel the wind in your hair? I mean, when I used to have hair. What is happiness right now? It's not going to be found being lost in there. It's right here, right now, and we have to find it again. And I think, that's the problem with all this anxiety and depression and stress. We're just lost in our heads all day, and that's a very serious mistake we're making. Well, it's really profoundly affecting us.
It really is. And I think we're being also reinforced with messages of you, make yourself better, do more, back to the stuff we were talking about with your work situation back in the day, and women being told, be younger, work on this procedure. It's always about you and the things that you lack in. So my question to you is then the community piece, the interconnectedness, and how important that is to actually quietening the mind with all the worry.
Yeah. And it's critical. It's something I point out at the very end of the book, where I talk about, I saw a funny Instagram reel the other day because most of my reels that come through are about therapy. And somebody said, the only problem with going to therapy, and then he screamed at the phone, he goes, nobody else goes to therapy. And it's quite typical of what my clients find is once they start working on themselves, they realize that almost no one else is. And they start to wonder, where are the people I can really drop in with?
Yeah.
Where are the people who are working like I am, who understand what I'm trying to accomplish with myself in my own life? And so a lot of I am yet to see a path of substantive transformation that does not include changes to the social circle. You have to be around people who, there's a phrase, I'm not totally sure how true it is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. But I think there is some merit to it, even though it's a bit of a platitude, I guess. But around when you realize, okay, I don't want to be spending all my day in self-absorbed judgment and my own gossip. Do I want to hang out with people where that's all their mind is doing and now their mind is doing it in my mind? I don't want to do that. I don't want to think about people in such a negative way. I was just on retreat. I was on 6 weeks of retreat in Denmark. And I was shocked because I was there and, I'm an American and people were like, we want to talk about your president. And I'm like,
ew.
We're on retreat. I need a break. I need a break from that. you know?
Yeah.
And it's
You
like,
deserve
do
a
we have
break.
to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody
like
deserves a break. I'm glad you
we all
got to
need a
take one.
break
Yeah. Mm.
from this. But it's just like this is all just so on our minds. And do we have to care about like these other things and the drama of our lives? Like, I don't want to swim in it all day. And I
Mm.
don't want to be around people who want to swim in it all day. Can't we
Yeah.
find better ways to connect? And so
Two
I think
things.
it's about
Yeah.
finding your tribe. And that tribe's going to change once you start working on yourself.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And a couple of things you mentioned there that make me want to just kind of dive in a little bit more is the ruminating and like constant judgment and worry and gossip, self-absorbed gossip.
Yeah.
That is so counterproductive to happiness, of course. But do you think part of it is also like, could we have a conversation with a friend? It's like, God, I've just been feeling so negative, and I hear us sometimes, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, we're both feeling like this. Like, should we explore what it looks like? Do you want to go to one of those, like, meditation nights, or like just a fun movie where we just laugh for 2 hours? Or it doesn't even need to be work, right? I think sometimes we just forget the power of novelty and doing something out of our everyday that doesn't necessarily have to be expensive.
Right.
Um,
I think
uh,
that's a great
yeah.
move it's a great move to try.
Mm,
But I think you're already starting to find out who your people are and who aren't.
yeah.
There will be people who, no, that doesn't sound like fun to me.
Mm,
I'd rather sit and gossip over cocktails. No, meditation sounds awful to me.
mm,
Okay, well then maybe we're not we're not rowing in the same direction.
yeah. And that's okay
You know,
too.
and it's and maybe can we go to the meditation for a while and then we'll go have drinks and
Yeah.
talk, right? Like, can we do both?
Mm, yeah.
Um, and maybe you can and maybe you can't. But I think that's a good approach of like, rather than vilifying or like, I don't want to gossip like you are right now, right?
Yeah, right. Like
That's not
that.
going to
I
be
think that's
received well.
it's exactly where I was headed, and making
Yeah,
sure that we kind of teased out, because
yeah,
humans are so good at then putting a purity culture layer on a meme like that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're such a drag. You're having a divorce, and that's just not the energy I really want to attract into my life right now. It's like
right.
the real friendship means we are actually there for each other in ups and downs. So it's not that I've ever taken that particular saying to mean that, because there's color in life. It's more that we show up to help each other make meaning through tough times, rather than like wallow to the point of self-absorption and indulgence and then victimhood, right? That's what we need to watch out for.
And I think a lot of that comes down to the intention with which we enter into a conversation. Are we just going to tear somebody down because, it helps somebody feel better? Are we actually trying to support one another? Sometimes you can even just ask, what are you looking for from me out of this conversation? Is this a kind of advice? Do you want me to just hear you out? Do you want me to
Mm,
call you on your stuff? What is the best way for me to show up for you right now? And people will tell you, here's what I'm looking for. Okay, great. Let's do that. Um, and then once in a while, like, yeah, I've had a long day. I don't want to swim in it any longer. Like, tell me about your hard day. Like, actually, I don't want to.
mm,
Let's just go watch a funny movie and enjoy
yeah.
being together and have some fun tonight. I'll tell you about it some other time.
Mm,
And just kind of gently redirecting um, and if people don't want to, then okay, well maybe we're going in different directions, and that's okay too.
mm,
Everything changes, and
yeah.
friendships change too, and that's all
Mm,
right.
true. Very true. Now, one of the very first things you said, Joe, was that a lot of people are high functioning, and it's like, then you peel back the layers and we discover many of us are operating in like a bit of a house of cards situation rather than super amazing functioning adults. Do you have any insights that could help us with that sense of pressure, that insatiability, if we've kind of, if someone's listening to this, maybe it's even a parent that feels like they're just doing everything perfectly for their kids. Like high functioning doesn't just mean in an office or in your business. It
Right?
can be a lot of ways.
Definitely not.
Volunteering and activism also is
Absolutely.
rife with high functioning
Caregiver
people.
fatigue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So you've listened to this and you've gone, okay, yeah, I'll get the book, obviously, but like, so if I'm one of these people, like, what does the journey look like when you've recognized that your high functioning hasn't actually produced the results you hoped it would around a sense of satisfaction, around a sense of happiness. Maybe it's even around like being able to afford to buy a home in a place you want to live.
Hmm.
Like that, it's a very confronting place. And I think a lot of midlifers arrive here. And that's probably why midlife crises happen, because they're like, what? I thought this would drive this result. I got here and it hasn't. This sucks. What
I put all
now?
the puzzle pieces in place.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
now? Mm.
Yeah. So what now? So, first thing is I don't want to discount the more coping type skills, and um, there is a place for those things,
Hmm.
right? But I don't know too many people that really want to look at their life as something they have to cope through,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think when it gets to when we're ready to stop looking externally and say, yes, maybe I could have a little bit better marriage. I could have a more fulfilling work, but this is what I get paid to do, and I get paid well, and I need that money. Um, then it's like, okay, then if external solutions aren't going to be at the ready, um, then it's time to start asking the harder questions.
Mm.
And that's kind of where I brought my engineering approach to mental health. In engineering, you are very focused on what is the root cause of this issue. Because if I don't solve it there, I know I haven't actually, we call them band-aids. You've just
Mm.
put a band-aid on a symptom. You haven't actually solved the thing.
Yeah.
And so we have to look inside and say, if my life isn't working out, I first have to ask myself, what was I trying to achieve? Well, I was trying to be happy. Okay, well, what do I think that is? What really, like, is that me getting my way? What is that? Is that me having the things that I want? What did I think it was that led me down this path to put these puzzle pieces in place? And what have I learned since then? Do I
That's a
have enough
powerful one.
love? Do I have enough connection? What did I think happiness was? And that, once you start going down that rabbit hole, um, and a lot of times the answers aren't so much thought as felt based. It's like a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, I can't tell you what's wrong, but I can feel it. I know. Oops,
Mm.
sorry, I typed the microphone there. I
It's okay.
know something's wrong, but I did everything right. I can't tell you what's wrong, but something's wrong because I don't feel good. And that's where the journey starts of like, okay, what are you really looking for? Um, what is happiness? Is it not what you thought? Maybe it's not. And the good news is, and I want to say this right up front, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to tear your whole life down. It doesn't mean you need to have a different job or a different spouse. Certain things you can't undo. You can't undo having kids. You had kids, you now have kids.
Yeah.
Um, it's more about, well, how I'm going about it, these things, and how I relate to them and how I relate to myself within them. That is where we'll find things that can be changed.
Mm.
And that makes all the difference in the world. And so I hope people aren't hearing like, yeah, Joe went into electronics, then he became a therapist, and he's divorced. So yeah, he really tore down his whole life. Yeah, but actually, that's not necessary.
Mm.
What, but in therapy, we kind of say if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
And so we look at, well, what has to change? Well, what you think happiness is and peace of mind, and how those things are going to be achieved. Those need to be changed. And it really is in how you're relating to yourself, how you're relating to your stressful job, how you're relating to your life that has too much to do. Um, and maybe you're not caring about the right things so much. And you're not caring enough about some other things that are actually really important to you. You
Mm.
thought you knew what was important to you, but your body is telling you something else right now. Trust that.
Mm.
Trust your own inner wisdom, your own inner guide. It's telling you something. It's always communicating to you. It is telling you something's not right about how you're going about this. Okay. What is that?
Can I
Like,
ask in that exploration, Joe, how do we know when we are being driven towards something that is more fundamentally uh, producing good things versus like my body's telling me to drink or my body's telling me to, like unhealthy things, urges, addictions, violence. Like your body might be telling you that because there's something else you haven't identified that's even deeper, right? So on this self-exploration journey, I mean, this is probably, to be fair, where you would want to be doing this with a health professional. But just so people are really clear on what might come up and what that might mean as to how you then go on this exploration path. Can you sort of help us with the more negative instincts that pop up for some people based on a whole bunch of factors that might have happened in their lives?
sure. Um, and I think a lot can be done outside of clinical work. And
Mm.
I think a lot of us run into things that are like, whoa, that's big. And I don't quite have the knowledge or skills to face that by myself. Um, but I think a lot of it comes down to starting to pay attention to the full picture.
Mm.
And so I really don't advocate for like willpower and like you'd be shocked at how many people I ask, like, I want you to just stop in the middle of your doom scrolling after you're 45 minutes in.
Mm.
How do you feel? And you would be shocked at how many people say, I don't stop, but I don't feel good.
Hmm.
Why? Why? Or when you're eating that thing, you're trying to be healthier and you're eating that thing. How do you feel about yourself eating that thing? I know it tastes good.
Hmm.
I know you're getting a little hit of dopamine or whatever other neurochemical you were looking for. But how do you really feel when you present? I think we all do have, I don't think, I know we all have an inner guide. And maybe that voice has been ignored for too long, but it's still in there saying, like, I don't really want to be doing this. Something's not right. And I think tuning in, that's one of the things I really help people do is tune into that felt based knowing. And people are like, what's felt based knowing? You know, when you leave the house and you can't remember, you're forgetting something, you're forgetting your lunch,
Hmm.
but you can't, you're like, I just feel kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
something's off. Yeah, I've forgotten
Something's off.
something. I don't know. I haven't done something. Yeah.
Right. Well, your gut knows.
Mm.
It knows you're forgetting your lunch, but it doesn't have a language center. So it's like, well, all I can do is make this person feel weird. And so most people have had that. I'm trying to tell them, I'm trying to tell them they're forgetting their lunch, but they're,
Hello. Yeah.
hello, you're forgetting your lunch. And I think most of us have had that experience. And so that's a great example of like your body is trying to tell you something. The question is, can you slow down and listen? And you'll be shocked at what the body's wisdom and the mind's wisdom comes through when you slow down and just pay attention to it. And just ask, like, how do you feel doom scrolling for the next 2 hours? I mean, part of me likes it, but another part of me doesn't. Okay, what's going on there? And just start to tap into your own inner guide. And it'll help you unwind. And you don't necessarily need a clinician to help you do that. They will,
Yeah.
hopefully, if they've tapped into their own inner guide, they'll help you do it.
Mm.
Um, but you'll be surprised that um, how much your mind and body already know. They already know everything. They know the truth. They know who you're meant to be. We have a place inside us. And again, this isn't a religious or spiritual statement. It's just when people sit down with them, spend some quality time with themselves, this is what we find.
Yeah.
We find inner wisdom. We find peacefulness and happiness and joy and connection and compassion and wellness. And so it's like, I don't advocate for willpower. Just start paying attention to the totality of the situation. How do you really feel mistreating yourself? And
Wow.
once you
Okay.
start paying attention to that, your mind will correct. It's only focusing on maybe the pleasure it gets, and it's ignoring the fact that it doesn't feel good to be doing this.
Hmm.
And once you tap into that, your mind will guide you. It's already trying to. It's just you're locked up in your head and you're not feeling your way through it. And when you stay up in your head, you can ignore these signals that are trying to tell you. And a lot of times people come to me and they say, I can feel something's not right. It's like, right, there's your inner wisdom. It's punching through.
Mm.
It's punching through. And it's always trying to punch through.
I feel
The
like
only question is, are you listening?
yeah, elected officials and C-suite executives all need to do this work. Because I feel like it's the regular, no pun intended here, but it is the regular Joe that does this work, and that can feel something so deeply off. And often, as we explore it in ourselves, you look out and you think, "Oh my gosh, it's so off out there as well." And because we never do enough to quieten everything down to the point where we really feel our body telling us something is off,
Right.
what hope do we have of doing that on a grander scale if we haven't got that? I think Marianne Williamson calls it spiritual fitness in that sense. You know, that whew, okay, I know this is off, and I got myself sorted. I've put my oxygen mask on, and now I can actually show up and do something beyond scrolling and trying to find out everything that's going on. I can actually influence in a slightly bigger way and connect with people because I've now got that strength and the compass is back almost.
Right. But I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know that it takes, I'm all about bang for your buck. And if you just slow down, like I have people say, like, well, I had to make this decision at work and I just told them this. And I'm like, so you kind of lied there. I'm like, yeah, I just lied. I go, okay, stop right there.
Mm.
I want you to just say to yourself, I lied. And tell me what happens inside you. Like, can you detect any glimmer of, like, I don't like that?
Mm.
There's something in me where that doesn't sit right. Like, you just lied to your employees. How do you feel lying to your employees? Your mind knows what you're doing. There's a lot of people out there thinking that they can do harm in the world and there won't be an effect. Like, we're getting away with it.
Mm.
But I can assure you, after staring at this mind for many thousands of hours, there's no getting away with anything. Your mind knows what's good. Your mind knows what's wrong. Your mind knows who you are. Your mind knows what you're doing. And it's trying to tell you. And so if you just sit with that, it's become a bit of a joke or a meme, like the therapist saying, how do you feel? How do you
Mm.
feel? Right? But
Yeah.
really, just say, like, yeah, I regularly lie to people. That's how I get through life. Like, slow down and just sit with that. I regularly lie to people. Sit with that for 10 minutes and see and tell me what goes on inside your mind and body with that. You'll find it. It is in there. That's kind of one of the questions I had for humanity when I sat in the therapist chair. Like, do they know? They do. They may
Mm.
not consciously know, but they know.
Mm.
We all know. We know who we are and we know what's good. We do have this inner wisdom, and all I'm doing is helping people tap into it. Like, you're doing all the work. I don't actually do much other than point things out.
Mm.
Point out that there's a place in you that's stable. Point out to you that there's a place that doesn't like you eating that thing, eating a half of a sheet cake at night. There's a party that's not enjoying that sheet cake.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true, isn't it? Like we've been culturally conditioned to believe that it's the be all end all to have that flavor bomb and infinite amount of stuff available. And of course, biologically, we've been driven to, if you find it, you eat as much of it as you can, because who knows, it's going to be 3 days before you find something
Right.
else.
Right.
But that is precisely why we need to learn the art of slowing it down to the point where we can hear the other side of that coin.
Right. And
Mm,
I think that's the whole thing, is just what's actually going on with me.
yeah.
And can I tap into that inner wisdom that's really my true guide as to how I should be conducting myself, how I should be directing my mind, using my speech and action.
Mm,
Um, and we all have this. I know we all have this. Everyone finds it. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. You can't screw it up, no matter how many mistakes you've made. There's still a place in you that knows what's right and wrong. There's a place in you that kind of knows who you want to be, who you really want to be. And it's not even really who you want to be. It's who you really are. The only question is,
mm,
are you acting in concert with that, or are you acting against it?
well
But
said.
it knows who you really are. Tap into that. You already are that. Now, there's some things covering that up. And that's why I've really transformed the way, like, I don't even, I don't like, I have to fix myself. You're not broken. I don't even really like the word healing. You're not sick.
Mm,
There's a place in you. There's like your mind may be confused. It might be what we would call mentally ill, but there's still a place in you that's not. And can you find that? And you can. You just have to be shown where it is
mm,
and realize that that's me. I'm really just, and so it's really, it's for me, it's not so much about fixing or healing or even self improvement. It's about alignment. When I'm internally aligned, I think, speak, and act in a certain way. And when I'm
mm.
not, I don't.
Yeah. And would you say then, Joe, just to clarify a little more deeply on that particular point, when people really are suffering and extreme symptoms mentally, that would be when we would go more granular and look at an SOS plan that might involve medication, then look at the vitamin deficiencies or issues genetically that may be playing into a situation, um, just so we like I always think of the person who is geared to feel ashamed of when it doesn't work for me, or when I've really tried and oh my God, I still just wake up like I feel like there's a fog and a blanket over my whole body and I can't get out. Like there's that balance, right? Where we go, well, let's just have a look if there are a few levers that are actually fundamentally in the way of you being able to do this work and have it feel like you are finding alignment.
Yes. And of course, that's the first thing the majority of therapists will focus on. Is
Yeah.
there something physical going on?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
my son is studying psychology for his baccalaureate, for his
oh, wow.
diploma, and
Cool.
he was telling me the other day there's the environmental, the physiological, and there was a third one, the neurological. I can't. Yeah,
Could
I
be
thought.
neurological.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
interesting how they divided the body and the mind in the text. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, we could be talking about that. I think we need to
Yeah.
update a few things there, but
Right. But I mean, if your hormones are, you know, out of balance, and,
mm,
we've all had those times where we wake up anxious. Well, yeah, cortisol is higher in the morning. And so that's kind of what happens. Um, and, but I kind of take a bullish stance on us in terms of, you know, I have people that come to me. I think my record is I was someone's 14th therapist.
wow.
And yeah. And, what I say to those folks is, just because you haven't found what works for you doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And you have to keep the faith a little bit in yourself,
Mm,
that no one has shown you exactly how it's going to work for you. And I also focus heavily on, there's kind of the slower path, which I call the developmental path, and more this fruitional path of, like, okay, so your mood isn't very good. Is there anything going on in your mind besides your mood? Where's that? Like, we don't want to wait because, it can take, and a lot of the most recent neuroscience around trauma is actually suggesting, trauma may not be stored in the body the way we think. It's not so much that the body has been changed by trauma. It has been changed. But the mind is continually misinterpreting those signals to mean I'm still under threat right now. And I may not be. And in fact, I'm likely not. I'm not in my childhood home anymore. I'm not in a war zone anymore. But my body is telling me that I am. And my mind, the issue is actually my mind is believing that. And so I don't say we need to wait for the mood to improve, or we need to wait for PTSD symptoms to relax. Let's go find the place in your mind that's still okay, that's still stable. And let's not wait for that. And actually, we can help that process along. And so, yes, maybe there's deep structural changes you have to make in your life or in your psychology. Great. But again, I always come back to, what about today? What does happiness mean for you today? Does it mean ignoring your thoughts, your anxious thoughts that are very heavily conditioned? And yes, you're going to wake up tomorrow and I don't know how it is when you wake up, but this mind is like 10 browser tabs open all at once, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go, right?
100%. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you know what, mind? I'm not doing this right now. It's springtime and the birds are chirping.
Yeah.
I'll
I
get
opt
to
for
the
the
10
coffee. Yeah. Coffee on the balcony, do my little
Right.
crossword, just have a little moment, look at the trees, listen to the birds, like you say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll get to the 10 browser tabs. We'll get to it, mind. But
I'm
now's
right
not
on
the
top
time.
of that, Rose. Yeah.
Right.
To quote
Now's
her.
not the time.
Yeah. No.
Because the birds are chirping.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to sit and be with them for this morning for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I have a crazy busy mind and it's always worried about this or that. But I can come back to this moment anytime I want. And I can just focus. I can choose what I focus on. And yeah, that thing tries to spin me up again. This whole idea of stability, the people who taught me meditation and taught me so much about the mind, some of the world's top minds, they say like this whole stability thing, forget it. It's just a matter of return again. And they say, we don't care. I don't care if it takes you 300 times a day. Come back to sanity. Come back to now. Just all you have to, you're overwhelmed. That means you're traveling in your mind. You only have to deal with now. So, and you have all the capacity you need. Just deal with now. And you'll be all right. You'll notice you get little glimpses of okay.
Yeah.
And maybe that just starts out.
That's what I'm hearing from this conversation that is so incredibly empowering, is that we don't have to focus on all the things that are wrong, like we often do. Even the things that we want to fix, even biologically, like let's just say you actually have a diagnosis. It's very easy to then think about it 24/7. But there is a tiny part, and I learnt this through mold toxicity and repeat exposures across a number of buildings. And I noticed I started to trust more and more each time I went through it. Whereas the very first time I honestly thought I was going to die. This was it. And frankly, I may well have if we had stayed there. I was very, very sick. But when you don't know that you can work to be hopeful, to be more at peace in even a microcosm of a moment, it's very hard to trust anything. And what I'm getting from you is, yeah, there's all that stuff going on. There is always a tiny little something that's going just right, just perfect. Like just in this now moment, you can find it. And I think that's an incredibly hopeful message, Joe. I wish you so much success in getting this message out here. It's not easy writing a book. I've done too. Let's not be fooled, guys, as you listen by, simplicity means it's probably not going to work. That's way too easy. Like the internet needs everything to be complicated and protocolized to make money, like tons and tons of cash. But actually, It's kind of like the unsexy version, if you like, of oh, like really? I'm just finding a little like now moment that actually feels sweet. Like, okay.
Right. And I'm
Um,
happy with who I am in this moment, and it's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'm
Mm,
dealing with all this other madness and the madness of the world and the stress of the world. But you know what? I like who I am, and I'm being that person right now. And I can bring joy and peace to people in the craziest of times and in myself. And yeah, I'll get to all that. I'll get to all the troubles. But I know I have capacity to handle my life. And I can have just a little glimpse of, like, dare I say, I'm okay. I'm not great. I'm not, there's a lot of work to do about my life and everything going on. But you know what? Right now, I can just have one little moment of saying, this moment's okay. The sun's on my face, the stars are in the sky, and I'm okay. And that goes a long way. It's just reminding ourselves we are okay and we do have the capacity to handle our lives, no matter how difficult they get, which is like Viktor Frankl and others have shown us.
mm,
We can handle it. We can.
mm,
We have infinite capacity to handle our lives.
mm.
We just have to tap into it.
That's it. And we have to trust that it's there, as he showed. I thought that was just so beautifully put in his work, right?
Right.
And him noticing that it was the people who were in the camps that refused to believe it could ever get better, that had the poorest health outcomes, even
Right.
death.
Right.
And he noticed those who believed that you could cultivate tiny moments of it's okay, that were the ones who made it. And I think a lot more humans could do with us all focusing a bit more in that space. So I really appreciate it, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today. It really has.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me. It's, as you said, it's not easy to get the message out there, but people like you are helping make that happen.
That's a pleasure. That's my job. Thanks. Thank you for joining us in listening to this week's show. If you're not already subscribed or following the show on whatever platform you listened, please do that now. It helps enormously in terms of getting this show out to more people. Another way you can connect and support the work we do so that we can support you in your low tox life is join us in the Low Tox Club. You'll get access to amazing member masterclasses where we invite some of our best show guests for a live Q&A with members. You also have great shopping discounts from low tox businesses and honestly, the nicest low tox community Facebook group that exists on the internet. I do hope you join us there. It costs just the price of a coffee a month on average. Head to lowtoxlife.com, hit the Explore tab, and Low Tox Club is the first option there. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.